Hi everyone, this is the Gateway API meeting for January 15th, 2024. It is currently Martin Luther King Day in the US, so we've got lots of folks away. So we're having a lighter meeting agenda. As always, please feel free to add your agenda items in. If we do end up running out of stuff to talk about, we'll call the meeting early. And the usual caveats apply. This is a Kubernetes community meeting. And let's all be nice to each other. Cool. Well, Dave, you got the first agenda item. Let me share my screen.
Yeah, I created this issue a while ago and then someone assigned themselves to it, but I don't think they made any PRs. So I kind of just unassigned them because you kind of
Yeah.
know what. But I actually think this is still super important because then if
Yeah.
your backend refs, let's say it's a headless service or it's using endpoint slices only, I think for Contour, they just added endpoint slice support, but it's off by default. So in theory, it should be failing, but eventually it should pass. I don't know if anyone else is in the same boat as kind of like Contour. I'm willing to do the tests for this. I just wanted to see if people were opinionated about any specific, like I can do probably the easy stuff first. And then that I don't think would be controversial. Like for example, service, and then the selector, yeah, essentially kind of what I listed the variants,
Yeah.
manual endpoints, and then manual endpoint with endpoint slices. And I the external name ended up being that big discussion in Kubernetes where I was trying to like push
Yeah.
on like people to make a decision whether it's supported or not.
Yeah.
And no one made a decision. So I don't know
I
what to do there. So I
think we
figured
should
I'd get the
leave.
easy stuff first.
Yeah. Do the easy stuff first. I think we should leave both external name and FQDN manual endpoints just out and just be like, no domain names here. That is a different discussion. Like we're talking about the behavior, the more straightforward behaviors,
Yeah.
because there is a huge can of worms for any sort of domain name backends.
Yeah, they're still named like there is use cases for it.
100%. But
Yeah,
there's also lots of ways you can do it wrong.
yeah,
And
exactly.
so yeah, it's too much sort of shenanigans when like I think your point is really fair that we should have some different variants. I do think all of these need to be sort of not defaulted to on to begin with, opt-in only and stuff so that we can see, who can pass them. I think it does make sense to write the tests, in the sort of this is what everyone should be doing at some point. And then we sort of work its way in from extended towards core once we all agree and people start supporting it.
And then I think the thing for me is where to start. Like, should we be essentially having these tests and make them like a matrix where we do it for every route essentially? Because in theory, you could have an implementation that does like just TCP routing, and in theory, this should still work. And then there's also HB route and other routes, so it's kind of like
I mean, I think for now we like our conformance tests are definitely focused around HTTP route because we don't have conformance tests for TCP or UDP route. So I think it's completely fair to say, okay, we're going to test some different variants of services. I don't think we necessarily need to make it a full matrix. I don't think that having, the testing every last, path matching feature against every possible option for different backend service types isn't that useful. I think that probably testing a few representative cases, like the happiest case, the reasonably straightforward case, and maybe one with a couple of different backends and make sure that they go to the correct backends in the correct proportions, or even that. I don't think we mandate proportions generally. So yeah, like just a couple of relatively simple use cases should suffice to just be like, hey, when you say you support a headless service, here's how it needs to work. Or something like that. If you are disabling endpoint slice mirroring, so you're only using endpoint slices, then then this is how this should work, or something like that. Yeah.
Cool.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I'll sign it to myself. But I
Yeah.
might just quickly surface it. I'll post what I'll do afterwards and maybe just bring it up next week as like a 2-minute topic.
100%. Yeah, just pop it on the just pop it on the agenda again for next week. But yeah, that makes sense to me. I think basically with the stuff that we've been talking about with sort of trying to maintain a bandwidth, I think that conformance stuff is relatively separate because we've got conformance reviewers and conformance approvers already. So it's a bit, there's more bandwidth there to to sort of keep the conformance test stuff rolling.
Okay, cool. That's all I had.
Awesome. Well, Dave, you want to drop yourself in the attendees list? Does anyone else have anything they want to talk about? Because I probably don't really have anything big I want to mention now. But if Christian or Grant, if you've got any questions, today's probably the chance to ask them, because we got 50 minutes left in the scheduled time, and we're about to run out of things to talk about.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything like pressing, but I am working the session persistent stuff, or at least trying to push it along. And I mean, I'm kind of stuck on answering some of these open questions that we have. So I thought, I don't know, you probably saw me post in the Slack channel. I'm like trying to get people together. So far I haven't had any major interests. Hoping people will respond. But if you have any, advice or suggestion for pulling people together, I'm all ears.
Yeah. Sorry, it's been a little while. I'm covering context too. Yeah, I think those are good questions. I don't really have answers for them right now. Good work putting them at the top. Yeah, I think that definitely is the sort of the thing that we need to talk about. Probably that is a good item for next week. I think hang on, if I go back to, and the thing that we have been working on at the moment is just how when about that where we need to graduate some stuff before we move too much further on the things. That doesn't mean you should stop working on that, or that I'm not willing to help on session persistence, but like we do need to get some of these ones out of experimental to sort of make room. Definitely, I would say definitely let's talk about those questions for session persistence next week when everyone's back. Oh, actually, I think next week is the week in between. It's the February 5th week that we will do the EMEA time. I think coincidentally I'll actually be in Europe at that time, so that works out nicely. No, definitely I think we should definitely keep talking about session persistence and make sure that it keeps moving along and doesn't fall off. But yeah, I think those questions definitely need a full discussion. Sorry, I'm rambling.
Yeah, and that's where I was looking to maybe spin something up on the side, just because I feel like we could easily take up an entire meeting. But if people aren't interested in getting a side discussion, maybe it's worth bringing them up a little at a time and each week.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to sort of keep things moving, is for you to just be like, hey, what's going on? Session persistence. We got some open questions. Just remind people and keep poking people is the way that I have found is the best way to move this stuff forward.
Okay, yeah, I can try to maybe bring something up for next week.
Yeah, and just sort of, if you're the one bringing it up, try and be the one who time boxes it. I think Rob and I will both try to make sure we time box it, and Shane. But yeah, like we all just need to make sure we time box the discussion so it doesn't run away with us.
Right. Yep. Got it.
Yep. Awesome. Okay. Like I said, I don't have anything to add for today. So with that, I think we're out of things to talk about.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yep, we're out.
Thank you.
No problems. Let's call that one done, and I'll see you all around. Cheers. Bye.
Later.
Thanks.